face and start kicking ass, just like it said at the beginning of the program.
Man of the hour, tower of power, too sweet to be sour.
Sending your ass on the jabroni jet to the other side of the territory, brother.
The Alabama Hammer.
Nightmares on the best part of my day.
The goods from the woods.
Hot damn.
Welcome to the Goods from the Woods. My name is Rivers Langley.
My name is Pat Riley.
My name is Mr. Good Man of the Hour, tower of power, too sweet to be sour.
And today on the show, we have our very special guest from Topeka, Kansas.
Zach Smith.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
What's your opinion on the Kansas and Nebraska Act? Because I've heard that's really messed things up back there.
It was a long time ago, buddy. It was from Kansas history. I was in 8th grade.
They're not still pissed about that?
No, nobody really cares.
Y'all ain't still war with Missouri or something?
No, they're definitely still at war with Missouri.
Okay.
Everybody hates Missouri to death. But nobody really cares about Nebraska anymore. Since they don't play them in football, they don't give a shit anymore.
Okay.
Is that normal that in 8th grade you take your state's history class?
It depends on the state.
Yeah, because I took Georgia history in 8th grade.
See, we took Alabama history in 4th and then never spoke of it again. So.
That's probably for the best.
It probably is, yeah.
Young enough to forget it.
Right, yeah, precisely. Right. Although I do remember in the Alabama history class, we devoted a significant amount of time to Bo Jackson.
As you should.
As we should, I think.
Yeah.
But we did get
An American history class ought to probably spend a lot of time on Bo Jackson, too.
I think so.
Is that their way to side skirt trying to explain to a bunch of 9-year-olds who George Wallace was?
Yeah, probably so. I don't think we spent much time on Wallace, but we definitely got a brochure from the city of Bessemer, which is where Bo Jackson's from, and we had to study that brochure. And now I feel like at one point, not anymore, I've forgotten all of it, but at one point I knew a shitload about Bessemer.
Yeah.
So
did it talk more about Bo Jackson than the steel making process?
Yeah, well, I think so. I think it was pretty much half steel, half Bo Jackson.
Did it have all the Bo Jackson urban legends about the fact that he once threw a rock when he was a kid and killed a pig?
Oh yeah, and he outran the school bus.
Yeah.
He did in Tecmo Bowl.
Yeah, the Bo Jackson 30 for 30 is fucking amazing.
Although it's interesting, and this will get to our topic for today, in Georgia, actually, there's a kind of cult of personality that surrounds Herschel Walker.
Oh, yeah.
That Herschel Walker is kind of the Bo Jackson of Georgia, where there is these sorts of this huge kind of mythology surrounding Herschel Walker. Herschel Walker, well-known MMA guy now at age 53.
Really?
Yeah.
And we're going to get to our topic today, which is
Martial arts.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So this is a topic I'm here to sit at your learning tree, gentlemen, because I've only been in one fight.
You won though, right, Rivers?
No.
What's your record?
No, his mom pulled up and we had to go.
Okay, so that's a no contest.
It was It was a draw.
This was a while ago, right?
Yeah, this was
ref stoppage.
Yeah, this was this was a 5-minute Broadway that ended with mom picking us up and us, coming to peace, in the car.
Was there actual fisticuffs, or was it one of those things where you would just hold the person and kind of dance with them for a little bit?
Oh no, I'm not
grappling match.
Oh, I'm not talking about that. I mean, we had a backyard wrestling thing that was different, and that was mostly a shoot. Actually, most of our backyard wrestling was fairly violent, but no, this was a straight up fists and stuff like that. This was my buddy Nerm Sturgis.
Yeah,
we actually had.
He was a real piece of shit.
Nerm Sturgis.
Yeah, we've talked.
Anything that goes wrong in Auburn is usually his fault.
It's usually his fault. Yeah, my mom calls him the criminal Nerm Sturgis.
That's what my buddy Ian's mom calls me.
Oh, really? You're the criminal Zach
Nerm
Smith?
Sturgis. No, Nerm Sturgis.
But we got into it over basically it was I can tell you the exact date. It was January 20th, 2001.
It's burned in your mind.
But it's because it was George W. Bush's inauguration day, and we were going downtown Auburn, and we were just sort of messing around. And
couldn't y'all just eat goldfish crackers and watch TV?
We should have probably
save the trouble.
But yeah, we had a megaphone that was left. There was a megaphone that was left in my friend's brother's van, and so we took the megaphone downtown, and we were just yelling at people and stuff like that. And,
Jimmy Hart style.
Pretty much, yeah.
So during the fight, was one of your friends in the megaphone going, "Yeah, baby, get him, baby, get him, baby"?
that was what the fight was over, though. Was
Jimmy Hart.
Nerm? Yeah.
Who was going to scream "Yeah, baby" in the mic in the megaphone?
Sort of. Yeah. My buddy Nerm had the mic or had the megaphone, and I wanted the megaphone.
You had the airbrush jacket, so it would have matched.
It would have matched. He had the megaphone, and I wanted the megaphone, and then it turned into kind of a like a wrestling match, and then I don't know who threw the first like straight up fist, but then it turned into a real fight, and then literally like as we're like rolling around on the ground like trying to hit each other, his mom pulls up and was just like, "What are you boys doing? Hey, stop it!" And then she was like, "Get in the car. I'm giving you a ride home."
Does his mom follow him around just in case things like this happen?
I guess so. Yeah, she's the little car that pulls up on Streets of Rage, except instead of a bazooka, it's just she tells everybody to get in the car.
Nerm pressed the C button when y'all were fighting him.
Right. But yeah, that's and it was I think we both probably got a couple shots in, and it was a Broadway. It was a no decision.
You'd call it a draw?
Call it a draw.
Well,
That's humble of you.
yeah. After this episode, you're going to qualify for getting maybe a green belt in a given
Do they give
martial art.
They only give you a green belt after you fight somebody.
I bet in some martial arts you could get a green belt just by sitting listening to somebody talk about them.
Yeah.
I'm sure they give it to you, like Taekwondo. Probably there's some like karate schools I bet that would give it to you.
Yeah, if you sign a 3-year contract to the school, you automatically get a green belt.
Yeah, you give them $500. It's usually like the best way in a lot of martial arts to get a belt is to pay them a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's like improv.
It's like Scientology or improv.
They're
I
called
get them confused.
they're called McDojos.
Yeah.
On the internet.
Really?
Yeah.
McDojo.
McDojos,
which,
yeah.
I love that.
Because a lot of organizations for martial arts.
Just imagine guys in like jeans just punching each other like at the McDojo.
I just imagine people going in being trained by the Hamburglar.
But yeah, no, it's a franchising sort of thing. So a lot of
Birdie will teach you a mean crane kick though.
that at a lot of organizations for martial arts, they'll do things where they have these franchising programs. So if you get
They got to fight Kid Vid at the other fucking dojo.
Yeah.
Kid Vid, that was Burger King.
I know.
Oh yeah, you're going to fight the Burger King
Yeah,
boys.
they got to go to
Yeah.
the Burger King Kids Club dojo.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
them
gotta-
fast food martial arts battles.
This riff
are out
is
of control.
delayed because I'm remembering all of these references from 1990.
Wendy is really good with tonfas. I don't know if you knew that.
She hides like blades in her hair.
Yeah.
She's the
You don't want to mess with her.
She's the dark horse at all the tournaments. The pretty boys over at Burger King, fuck them. We got
It's always the
McDojos.
redheads. You always have to look out for the redheads.
Sorry, Pat.
Fiery.
no, whatever.
What he was saying is true though. Like a lot of martial arts, like a lot of the traditional martial arts have gone the way of like these McDojoing where they do like franchise things out, and you go, you bring they have like 7-year-old black belts, and you just got to pay them like
7-year-old?
$100 to go test for a belt, and you learn like a kata or whatever it's called, and it's just basically like a dance with, and you go Kia a bunch.
and you have to key on certain moves.
Yeah, on certain
Yeah.
ones. Yeah, it's like a piano contest, but instead of like hitting the right note at the right time, you gotta like scream like an asshole.
It's like
at the
mall
right time.
karate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's mall karate.
I could do that. I feel like.
Oh, we could all do it.
Can.
Yeah, we
That's-
can. Yeah.
That's where you see like you got black belts that are just like giant monsters that look like Wes, and and they're running around. They're trying to tell people how to live their lives and like how to eat better or whatever. And it's just
fucking-
it's
I
all
know for a
bullshit,
fact
though.
Wes has black belt.
Yeah, that's the McDojos are actually really large in the South. So you'll have guys like named Randy and Chet usually.
Yeah.
That are like masters of Taekwondo, but they're really just these schlubs.
Right.
And if you actually ask them to do like a kick, they have zero flexibility.
Yeah.
But they franchised it out. They figured out how to do their katas. They passed their testing. They paid the money for the franchise, and they're
Yeah.
able to if a real karate school, in my opinion, has to be run in a rec center. I think a rec center karate school is definitely the way to go.
And it's
I
got to
think
have a picture of Steven Seagal up. It's not legit if you don't have Steve up there.
I think it has to be in a basement or in the woods or someplace where it's just kids.
It has to be in a forest of cherry trees.
Yeah,
It has to be somewhere in a basement or in the woods with kids.
Yeah,
is what you
exactly.
said. Yeah, I agree.
The
Somewhere.
Jared School of Karate.
No, I agree with you though. It should be some sort. If you're gonna go like karate
Or a temple.
a Shaolin temple or something.
The problem with a lot of them is that like tournaments and the way that you score, like no one's really like full contact and things like karate and taekwondo. That's why what I do is the real deal, guys. That's why,
What do you do? What's your training?
I was going to ask, like, what was the impetus? Because you're fairly new at it, right? A couple of years in.
Yeah, about 3.
Okay, 3 years.
Three,
Well,
yeah, I'm going on 4.
Okay,
Close
going on.
to that.
Okay, and what was the impetus to get into it in the first place?
I played football for 10 years of my life.
Oh, okay.
So like I played for most of my life, and then played 1 year in college, and
Is
decided
this Kansas State?
God no.
You were wearing the hoodie. I had to guess.
It's wishful thinking. It's
yeah.
like when guys go to state school and they wear like a Yale hoodie.
Oh, if only. Would have been nice.
Would have been one of Bill Snyder's boys.
Yeah, God, I am in some sense.
Where did you play?
It was a smaller school called St. Mary down in. It was in Kansas too. So
Okay.
I got recruited by a couple places, but that's the place I ended up. It was the wrong decision, and that's what ultimately like led me to drop out of school, and I left football completely. And I'm also 5'9" and like 165 pounds wet.
Yeah.
So like everybody in college, guys get real big in football.
Right.
And
Well, were you a
little-
defensive back or?
I was in college. I was a receiver, like starting out as a slot receiver. So
Okay,
you go on
but that's a
slant.
decent. That's typical size for a slot receiver. 5'9", 5'8", 5'9", 170 roughly.
It is the favorite size for an outside linebacker to eat on a slant route. It's what it is. It's the best size. You're right. It's great for that.
It's snack size. Yeah.
People just go right
so-
after you and stuff.
Yeah, it was like a small Halloween Snickers bar to an outside linebacker on a slant route. I got hurt a lot. I didn't like it. The team wasn't that great, so it wasn't really worth it. None of it was working out, and I decided that I wanted to get all fucked up.
That's why they call it the fun size.
Yeah, exactly. It's fun for the people that are
Exactly.
not the Snickers bar.
Bite that thing down, one bite.
So I left there and just started getting hammered drunk and like gained a bunch of weight. I probably put on like 30, 40 extra pounds. And
If you were living that good, why did you bother with the martial arts?
right, yeah. But I just needed something to do to be active because like football was an outlet for me because I was an aggressive little person. And so I'd get angry a lot, couldn't smoke enough pot to calm it down. And I heard that like jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu was a cool, like, was fun to do. I heard it was, it was an actual, like, art that wasn't bullshit. It was, I saw a bunch of people, you watch MMA, most of the grappling, if it's not wrestling, it's going to be Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. All the submissions are mostly Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or, like, catch wrestling, which is a form of wrestling that's with submissions.
Which one's the sharpshooter?
The sharpshooter is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. We're taking it.
Calgarian jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
I always thought that was catch wrestling.
Yeah, no, catch wrestling is
The heart of wrestling is a real pro wrestling is a real thing called catch wrestling from which it evolved.
Catch is
isn't
catch
it?
can.
Yeah,
is the full name.
And catch wrestling is actually interesting because catch wrestling, there's a few forms of it. There's the kind of British style of catch wrestling that comes out of Wigan around Manchester, and there was a guy that was
Wigan out.
Yeah, Wigan out.
That's the local promo.
Yeah. And he was a Olympic wrestler from that area, and he kind of developed the kind of British style catch as catch can. But there's different versions of it.
Isn't collar and elbow catch wrestling?
Most wrestling, especially if it's going to be some sort of like submission and catch, then it's going to be from catch wrestling.
Yeah.
Just because, a lot of like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu submissions and like moves actually come from catch wrestling. Like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is basically just like a mold between a certain type of judo called Kozen Judo, which is a rule set of judo, not so much the judo throws themselves. And then also catch wrestling.
Okay, so Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu has nothing to do with like capoeira or those kind of martial arts.
No, capoeira. It actually it can help. I know that my instructor, he was like a black belt in capoeira way before he ever started doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and that like capoeira will help you so much with balance. But that's more of like a dancing thing.
Yeah,
because I think it actually came out of
than it is anything.
It
Hey, you
came
look
out
great
of
with the
dance.
white pants.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, it came out of
Fine as
dance in Brazil because I think there was like a sort of thing where there was kind of a dance culture that existed. There might have been kind of a repression of dance.
Yeah, I thought it was an
And
old
became
like,
People doing the samba, and then one guy just starts kicking ass.
Yeah.
Listen, dancing's queer, all right? We ain't gonna do it. You can move around beautifully though, as long as you're fighting somebody, all right? That ain't queer.
Well,
Dancing's queer.
They had stuff like that, like in Brazil. They would have like African martial arts and certain African dances,
That's
and
what I was-
they were banned. So you would get them under the radar by masquerading them as dance.
Yeah.
I guess that's what I was going to ask, and I'm sure this
Because Brazil was the slave culture of the New World.
Right,
I mean, they had slavery until like 1888 or something like that.
that was what I was going to ask is like, and I guess it's ultimately the answer is going to be colonialism. But like, how did Brazil get how did it all get to Brazil? Like jiu-jitsu and is that
Yeah.
jiu-jitsu, is that Japanese or is that Chinese martial arts?
That's Japanese.
Is that
Japanese.
Yeah.
And how did it get to Brazil?
How did it get to Brazil? A lot of like people from Japan ended up migrating to Brazil.
Oh, okay. That's kind of what I imagined.
That's common in Peru, too.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think that it had to do with like World War II. I think a lot of it had to do with that. Maybe.
Oh, okay.
If I remember right, if I remember my history correctly, then it was the 40s. That's when about Mitsuyo Maeda, who is the guy that taught Carlos Gracie, Carlos Gracie Sr. He was the one that taught him judo initially, and that's basically where Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu stemmed from. Was that Gracie family?
Okay, so just one family showed up in Brazil and just started kicking ass.
For the most part, yeah. There was
Say goodnight, Gracie.
yeah. They started. It started with like. They learned this sort of judo, which was the Kozen judo, like I was talking about, which talks what that is a rule set of judo, like normal judo, like Kodokan judo. Those rule sets don't allow for any like ground play to be done, no ground fighting. It's just you stand, you throw the person on the ground. If you don't score an ippon, which means a full point, basically, it's just like a perfect throw. It's a throw that's just going to like knock you out if it's not done on a mat.
Yeah.
Basically, if you don't do that, then you can't win. It's a draw. That's the only way that you can win in judo, or the time runs out.
Now, I actually have seen judo. I saw in 1996 at the Atlanta Olympics. A friend of mine's. Awesome. Yeah, well, as a kid, I didn't know I had only heard judo used in like the context of like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and stuff like that. So I was just assuming it was going to be like two ninjas like flying off the walls and right. shit out of each other. And then when I got there and it was just two people very like solemnly throwing each other on the ground, I was like, this is kind of, it was, I was 8 years old or whatever, so it was boring to me, but
yeah, especially compared to the Teenage Ninja Mutant.
Well, because I had I had it so built up in my head. Like my friend's mom who got us the tickets, she used to work at CNN. She was like, oh yeah, well you can either do we got tickets for this day. We could either go to the equestrian events or we go to judo. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? We're going to judo.
Yeah.
I could just imagine in Rivers' mind of what judo was, that they had like piss tests at the beginning of the contest to see like pizza concentration in their urine. You know, it's just like,
but I would have rhinoceros and warthogs.
Yeah, but I just assumed, because I was 8, that judo was just a catch-all for like ninja shit. So there was going to be throwing stars and like I was so.
Well, that's ninjutsu.
I was so pumped up. You have no idea how pumped up I was. And then when I got there and saw what it was,
throwing stars at the Olympics.
I know, but they're
nervous he's going to get hit by a like random star that comes out of the arena.
I wasn't even nervous. I was ready.
The Terradome busts out from underneath the mats.
Get hit with the mutagen, you are fucked.
Yeah,
dude, I've been wanting to see somebody get hit in the face with some nunchucks. This is my time.
That's what I thought it was going to be.
Rivers witnessed the first ever gold medal won for Dimension X.
But yeah, I was just there, like sitting in the stands, all full of fun dip, and it was '96, and my life was on fire. It was awesome. And then
you were living high on the hog at the Olympics.
And then the match started, and
you won at least a bronze medal for fun.
Yeah, yeah. The lead up was real fun.
By the way, Fun Dip does not hold up. You had it lately?
No.
It makes the roof of your mouth bleed if you have too
awful.
much.
I was always thinking, how they have like Captain Crunch. It's like oops all berries. I was thinking Fun Dip should be one day oops all sticks.
Oops, oh, dude.
It's just a bunch of white.
Oops, you bought chalk.
Sugar chalk.
Now two-step with it. Give your apple low. Dip it to the ground. Now bring it up slow. A fun dip, make that booty shake. Strawberry, raspberry, lemon, and grape. Now two-step with it. Dip your apple low. Dip it to the ground. Now bring it up slow. A fun dip.
Yeah, but it is interesting with the Japanese thing, because there were a lot of people from Japan that moved to Brazil. Because, for example, Antonio Inoki, the professional wrestler and also mixed martial artist in a way, he lived in Brazil, actually.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so during the 1940s and 1950s, he lived in Brazil, and he was a competitive shot putter. So there were people that moved to Brazil during, the early part of the 20th century up until the 1950s. And one of the people was the guy that kind of started BJJ and taught.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, he taught. There's a thing in Japan. It's called Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, which doesn't have a lot of like on the ground anything. It's just a lot of like standing chokes and standing arm locks. And then there's the obviously the judo throws, and those are what was taught to these like Gracie people. And then the difference between the Kodokan judo, which is the traditional judo, and the Kozen judo that I was talking about is that Kozen judo rules were like taken before the Kodokan rules changed, where Kodokan rules in 1929, I think it was, changed to where there's no ground play. As soon as you hit the ground, if it wasn't an ippon, we're going to stand you up and you're going to try to throw each other into the planet again. But Kozen rules
that sounds great.
were like, fuck it. If you fall down, kill him. Just kill him there. Fall on the ground and you can do all that. So it allowed for, they call it nuwazas or ground play. And that's where like these like technical schools they would have tournaments against each other, and they would use this rule set. And people started to like, let's say like you got this kid that sucks on your team is going to go up against like the number 1 ranked dude. Well, you don't want him to lose, and the only way that you can lose still in these fights is like a throw, an ippon. So there's no like points for any like on the ground grappling like there is in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournaments today.
So if you're just like punching the guy.
No, there's no strikes, but it's you can still if you're on the ground, you can still try to choke and like try to do arm bars. But the only way you're really going to win is if you score an ippon.
Okay.
So what they started to do to make it so they didn't get technically a loss and the match would just go to a draw was the shittier guy would just grab him and pull him down onto the ground. And then they'd start to play from there, and he'd try to sweep him and do all that. And if you go back and you look at a lot of like old Kozen videos, like Kozen judo videos, it looks a lot like what you would call Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu today.
Oh, okay.
So the idea is that maybe Mitsuyo Maeda was more versed in this Kozen judo rule set, and when he came over to Brazil, and not only did he show the Gracies traditional judo, the traditional Japanese jiu-jitsu with the standing arm locks and chokes, but he also showed them these like ground techniques that were working, and then they took them from there and then just like dove even deeper into this ground game, and that's what became Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
So were you how did you get into BJJ? Were you initially a fan of like Ultimate Fighting and kind of get into it from there?
I was the MMA fan. I just liked seeing people beat the shit out of each other. That was just.
Did you live the lifestyle? Did you like wear tap out shirts and go to Buffalo Wild Wings to see?
Hell no, I didn't know anything about it really. I was just I was the dude that would go to Buffalo Wild Wings and was just like, whoa, look at them beating each other's ass. That's crazy. But I knew a little bit that jiu-jitsu was like grappling, but
and
then
they hadn't even turned the TV on yet.
Yeah. It was yeah, exactly. It was a dude named Eddie Bravo who was friends with Rogan, I guess.
That can't be a real name.
Real name.
That's his actual name.
Yeah.
Eddie Bravo.
Eddie Bravo.
Hell yeah.
If you're Brazilian, it's Edge Brav because they got a weird, funky accent.
Edge Brav.
Edge Brav.
Okay.
But so I heard him talking about jiu-jitsu and just like
God, that sounds like a jobber, dude. Like that sounds like a real like
What, Eddie Bravo?
Yeah, it just sounds like somebody like the one of the first 20 of the Goldberg streak.
Yeah. What was the first UFC did you watch? Did you watch the early ones where BJJ kind of got on the map, like UFC 1, UFC 2?
Not until later, once I got more into jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
Like, the first ones that I remember watching were like I remember watching like GSP fights when I was in high school.
Okay.
And thinking that he was just the baddest motherfucker on the planet.
GSP?
George St. Pierre.
Okay.
He's this Canadian dude that was like the welterweight champ forever.
Just imagine if Jean-Claude Van Damme could actually fight. That's kind of what GSP
and
is.
was French Canadian.
Yeah, well, obviously,
Yeah.
you know.
Just the baddest dude on the planet.
Okay.
And so I always liked him, and he actually has a jiu-jitsu tattoo on his titty, I think.
Okay.
You gonna get one, Rivers?
Yeah.
What?
A jiu-jitsu tattoo on your titty.
I mean,
Get one with a Ninja Turtle on it.
yeah, there you go.
Atlanta, 1996.
yeah.
I do.
Judo sucks.
Judo sucks, cowabunga. Yeah.
I do SJJ sewer jujitsu, Donatello style. Because I used to watch. I watched the early UFCs because I would get
My
the
other
tapes.
car is a blimp.
I would get the tapes at like Movie Gallery, right? And it was just like because the first UFC was like the birth. in like the
Free for all.
popular consciousness of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
You remember the dude with one glove?
Yeah,
that
one
came out?
glove Jimerson,
Yeah.
Art Jimerson.
I thought that was Michael Jackson all these years.
Okay, so the first UFC was so hilarious because it was basically predicated on no rules.
Yes.
Everybody had different forms, and there was no weight classes. Yeah.
It was started
So
by
the
those
first
Gracies.
match, the first match was essentially.
So were there like boxers fighting?
There was a
karate guys?
sumo guy. This guy,
What?
Emmanuel Yarbrough, who was 600 friggin' pounds, fighting this guy. I think it was Keith Jardine, who weighed like 170 pounds.
No weight classes,
And Keith
yeah.
Jardine kicked his ass
Well,
in like
yeah.
30 seconds.
Of course.
He just like got on top of him.
I don't even know who Keith Jardine is, but yeah, you just go around the back of him and start
Yeah.
kicking him in the back of the head.
Did this
That's
have
so
Tank
wonderful.
Abbott in it?
No, it wasn't yet Tank Abbott, but it was One Glove Jimerson, who was a boxer, and he was just like, well, I have to have a glove.
Is Tank
So he
Abbott a
fu-
cousin to Jeep Swanson or whatever?
No, but they're both in WCW.
Yeah, Tank Abbott was just this big, like, biker-looking guy that just fought in basketball shorts and had no abilities other than being a knockout
Other than
artist.
just a brawler.
Okay.
Yeah. But One Glove Jimerson was a boxer, and he fought with one boxing glove.
What if
Yeah.
he didn't? His name was One Glove and he just came out no gloves.
No gloves.
We're like, I don't get it. And while you're thinking about it, he kills you.
But yeah, and there was Ken Shamrock was kind of the guy that was the favorite
was
in the
one-
tournament.
yeah,
And he
yeah.
was a catch wrestler. You know, he was trained in catch wrestling. And the thing was that Hoist Gracie was
Yes.
this guy that kind of came out of nowhere, and he used Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and he just dominated everybody.
Just killed everybody.
Yeah.
That was the thing, is that back in the day, nobody gave a shit about grappling except for like Ken Shamrock and the catch wrestling people
Yeah.
and, you know, wrestlers obviously, but it didn't have as much respect. Everybody was all about like boxing and who can hit who and kick who in the face. And so as soon as you grab one of those guys that can't grapple at all, and they just rely on you
Yeah.
know, punching.
Oh,
and
you
kicking.
get them on the
Yeah.
ground because everybody wanted to fight standing up.
Yeah, once you get them and take them to the ground, it's over. You can just choke them and you can do whatever they want. Because most of the time, people's reaction is to give you their back. As soon as you get to the ground, you're going to try to roll over, push up on the ground, and get back to your feet.
So
as
this is
soon as
like-
they do that,
This is
it's
like
over.
UFC 1.
Yeah,
Like
so it was
UFC
just
1 and 2.
This random dude in it's like this random, really small Brazilian guy in a gi, just destroying everybody.
He had pants on though, right?
Yeah, he had pants on. It wasn't just. It wasn't just.
You have to make sure because people don't
It
have
wasn't
full
just-
equipment.
yeah, it
And
wasn't
now,
just
weighing in at 300 pounds, it's no pants Murphy.
It wasn't-
sleeveless gi, no pants.
yeah.
I can see your Dick Smith.
Yeah, just
does
like a
that.
judo jacket with just like a speedo. It's a great look.
Guys, he's just here to grapple.
I fucking.
He's just here to
I'm just
grapple
here to-
with you, a
just
little
here to grab
wrestling.
on you
But
a
the
little
early
bit.
UFCs were insane because they would just pull dudes out of the crowd. Like if somebody got hurt,
What?
they would just be like, "Who wants to fight in the next
is that
round in the
legal?
semis?"
Rivers, if they did that in the Olympics, y'all might have a silver medal or something. on it.
You have to realize where the UFC came from for that sort of thing to make that makes a lot of sense if you realize that it came from Vale Tudo, which was the thing in Brazil before UFC. It was basically like the first UFCs, which were no hold bars. I think that my fighting style is better than you, or I want to fight this guy. I don't like him. I'm going to fight him at the Vale Tudo thing.
Oh, see, my Vale
Have you
Tudo-
ever-
hell out of
have
it.
you ever
And it was
wa-
on. They would do it on concrete.
Yeah,
Valley-
have you
what's it
ever
called?
watched
Valley
Valley Tudo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you
A
said
lot of Tudo
Valley
in-
to do it. I was like, that don't sound
Well,
like
there's
the Valley Roos.
there's a really good documentary called Choke about Valley Tudo. And actually, one of the interesting things, since we're all wrestling fans, in the documentary Choke, Craig Pitbull Pittman from WCW,
Oh, yeah.
he was in Valley Tudo in the movie Choke, and he actually advanced to the second round of it. It was almost like, in a way, it was sanctioned, but it was like the Kumite almost in a way. Like it
Yeah,
was
it
like
was-
fought on, like in Bloodsport, it was fought on concrete. It was just people just beating the crap out of each other.
Usually no time limits either.
Yeah.
Like there was some there was one match with Helio Gracie and who the hell was it? It doesn't matter. But it went for like 2.5 hours till 2 a.m. when they finally shut it down because you're not allowed to have sporting events after 2 in Rio de Janeiro. And then the crowd fucking rioted.
Sounds like Madison Square Garden in the old days.
That's where
Yeah.
that UFC.
How can you for
type
real
of shit
fight
came
for 2
from.
hours?
Well,
Like-
some of the early UFC matches would go for like 40 minutes. Like
Yeah.
the UFC 1, the conclusion of it.
Like, it's one thing if it's pro wrestling, but if you're like shoot fighting somebody, that seems exhausting.
One of the reasons that wrestling went to being fake is in the old days when it was a wrestling exhibition,
go on for a
it would
long
go
time.
on for hours, and
Yeah.
it would just be guys in holds on the ground for hours.
Right.
That's what a lot of it was.
Yeah.
Right. But
so
yeah, I don't
the
know.
first UFC final was Shamrock versus Gracie, and that went for like 23, 24 minutes, and
Oh,
there were
for a
no
while.
rounds. You know, it was consistent fighting
No
throughout.
rounds. Okay, I have to watch. I see. I'm completely
here's-
Watch it. It's
uninitiated on UFC. Is
people-
this like 95, 96?
95, 96, yeah, and people would get
watching this.
hurt, and they
Well,
would
yeah.
have these like
Really?
They bring people, yeah, of course, and they bring
very
people
safe.
in
No
from
rounds,
the
no
crowd.
weight class?
The best
No
early
weight class. That
UFC
makes
guy
sense.
was this guy named Harold Howard, who was this guy from Canada, and he had like his face was just mangled up. and he
Oh,
had,
droopy
like,
face Harry.
Well, no, he looked like kind of like how Peter Dinklage's face was, but he was a grown dude, so like he had like the ridged forehead and kind of
Peter
these weird
Dinklage.
from the
Yeah,
actor.
He's got a head that looks
From
like
Game of Thrones?
It looks
Yeah.
like it looks like
Oh,
the,
the
it looks
the
like
little
the
midget,
yeah. He got the head that looks like the old man of the granite from New Hampshire before it
Oh,
fell
yeah,
down.
yeah,
fell
so it's
down.
like he had like kind of the dwarf face, you know, but he was like
on
a
golf.
but
was
he had
a little guy,
He had a
right?
mustache and a mullet, and he was just kind of one of those guys that
Would
he had
steal
his,
all the pussy.
Oh, I know the guy you're talking about.
Yeah, he had his own form of martial arts. You would have these wacko dudes that
Yeah.
have their own form of martial arts, and they would just get destroyed. The first like move he did in the finals, because everybody got hurt, so he made his way into the finals. Like he fought one fight against some J-Bron and made it to the finals. The first move he did was he did this like front flip kick, like scissors kick, and the guy he was fighting just looked at him and was just like, "What are you doing?"
This sounds amazing.
And then just destroyed him in 5 minutes.
You would love it. It's extremely entertaining. They were also tournaments, so it would be more than one fight. You had to fight. You'd have to go in for no amount of time limit and just try to kill another person and have them try to kill you.
So how
and
many
then you
people-
wait 20 more minutes, and then you got to go do it again.
How many people would it start to just be like?
8. Yeah.
Eight.
It should be 8 people ranging in size from anywhere from 150 to 600 pounds who would all just beat the shit out of each other into a
Well,
tournament.
the dude that played
On a
that,
Saturday, baby.
yeah,
Kind of like real life Mortal Kombat, but
Why
without
is-
the blood.
okay,
Well, at least
yeah.
without ripping heads off.
like I understand that like at some point you have to like rein that in, but
well, because John
why-
McCain wanted to ban it. John McCain
Yeah.
had a big campaign to ban the Ultimate Fighting Championship.
Oh, boo!
Well, because there was like one of the fights that was the most notorious was I forgot who it was fighting. The guy was fighting, but he was fighting against this guy Joe Son, who played the Odd Job character on Austin Powers.
Random task.
oh, random task.
And in the fight ended when this guy basically had Joe Son down and just punched him in the crotch for like 5 minutes
crotch?
straight, like just right in the gut.
Wait,
That's like
was
no
that
rule.
legal?
Yeah, I don't want to make a
Yeah.
pun, but that is low.
Wait, was that
that's-
you could
Yeah.
do low blows and shit?
No, it wasn't
Yeah.
that it was legal, but it wasn't illegal.
You couldn't bite, you couldn't eye gouge, and I think that was it.
That's
Like, it was-
cheap shit, man.
Which, by the way, back in Valley Tudo, they didn't play that bullshit. You could bite, eye gouge, you could kill somebody's sister in front of them, and then go into the ring. It didn't matter.
Yeah, there was no. Yeah, it was insane in that way, and they had to rein it in where they had
Can
to
you
have.
use a gun?
By the way, they also did not wear any sort of gloves except for Homeboy with the one.
Yeah, Art
boxing.
Jefferson
Yeah,
had one
Except for-
glove.
Yeah.
one glove, Johnny. Well, I
He
feel
figured
like,
he'd slip a glove into the proceedings.
I just feel everything's kind of cyclical. Like when is this? Obviously, UFC is not going back to this model, but I feel like there's a void here.
Maybe
Oh
catch
man!
wrestling.
All you got to do is go to Thailand or something.
Well, yeah.
go to somewhere that's not.
Well,
like
if you ever
here.
watch Bloodsport, you have to go underneath Hong Kong.
One of my favorite movies when I was a kid was 1988's Bloodsport. Bloodsport tells the story of a martial artist and Marine captain who goes AWOL and travels to Hong Kong in order to compete in a full-contact underground martial arts tournament called the Kumite. The Kumite features fighters of all different styles and disciplines from all over the world, and it's run by the IFAA, the International Fighting Arts Association, along with the Chinese Mafia, also known as the Triad. Our hero is Frank Dukes, played by the Belgian Ubermensch and king of the banana splits, Jean-Claude Van Damme. Van Damme is known primarily for his action movies and also for being the only man in cinema who gives Schwarzenegger a run for his money when it comes to making goofy faces when in combat scenarios. He looks like a fucking crazy person. In the movie, Dukes meets up with another American fighter named Ray Jackson, played by Donald Gibb, who's probably best known for his breakout role as Ogre in Revenge of the Nerds. Ray is a biker and a bar brawler who beats his opponents by picking them up and bopping them on the head. He stole his finisher from Little Bunny Foo-Foo. Dukes splits and heel kicks his way through all of his opponents and eventually beats the final boss, Chung Lee, played brilliantly by a 50-year-old actor named Bolo Yeung. The craziest part of the movie comes at the end when they freeze frame on Jean-Claude Van Damme and the following words appear on the screen. This motion picture is based upon true events in the life of Frank W. Dukes. From 1975 until 1980, Frank Dukes fought 329 matches and retired undefeated as the world heavyweight full-contact Kumite champion. That's right, Frank Dukes was a real guy and this shit happened, supposedly. Now, before I go any further, I wanted to put a huge allegedly here in regards to everything I'm about to say because Mr. Dukes is very litigious, and as we're about to see, I don't want to get sued. So everything I say is alleged. Bloodsport is based on an interview given by Frank Dukes in a 1980 issue of Black Belt magazine. And before we even get to Frank Dukes or the Kumite, there is a paragraph-long disclaimer at the beginning of the article, and let me tell you, it doesn't exactly instill any confidence in the audience for what they're about to read. Quote, "Although there is no convenient way to verify each and every detail connected with this story, the editors have verified enough of the basic facts to feel confident in publishing it. But since we are not at liberty to share the corroborating evidence with the public, we acknowledge that each reader may have a different idea of what the facts permit him to believe." A different idea of what the facts permit him to believe. That is some next-level Donald Rumsfeld shit. So we're off to a great start with this guy. In the article, Dukes tells the reporter, Jon Stewart, no, not that one, about his training under the legendary Shidoshi named Shinzo Tanaka. And it was through his work with Tanaka that Dukes became aware of the IFAA and the super-secret Kumite, which was held every 5 years in a new location. The 1975 Kumite was held not in Hong Kong as the film depicts, but in the city of Nassau in the Bahamas. The scene in Nassau Dukes describes is not too dissimilar from the UFC 1 fights that we're talking about in this episode. Boxers fighting karate guys, fighting ninjas, fighting Swedish bodybuilders, fighting sumo wrestlers, just a ridiculous melee. According to Dukes, quote, "The key to winning was to be trained in a number of the arts." Dukes won the Kumite in 1975. Years later, Dukes would claim that after winning the Kumite, he became known as the, quote, "ultimate fighting champion," and that the UFC ripped off his superlative. Dukes also claimed that he won a ceremonial sword at the Kumite, but had to sell it in order to get the money that was needed to free a bunch of orphans being held hostage in the Philippines. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, why would a super secret group like the IFAA let this American guy spill all their secrets to a magazine? Well, according to Dukes, at the time, the IFAA was interested in bringing more Americans into the Kumite tournament, so they gave him the green light in 1980 to essentially act as their spokesman and to talk about his experiences winning the Kumite back in 75. It's important to note that in 1980, America was going through a huge boom in martial arts, and people who owned dojos, people like Frank Dukes, would sometimes invent their own martial arts methods and charge big bucks to learn it. Strip mall dojos all across America were opening up, offering you the once-in-a-lifetime chance to train with legendary sensei Bubba, Hanshi Chad, or Grandmaster Frank Dukes. Padding the old resume to make yourself seem more like a badass was just part of the deal. Allegedly. In 1980, the same year he got his big break in Black Belt magazine, Frank started the first American system of ninjutsu at his dojo, located in the mystical land of Woodland Hills, California, just outside of Los Angeles. Frank's dojo was very successful, and Frank even started training celebrities and running around in some pretty elite circles in Hollywood's nightlife. It was also at this point, according to Frank Dukes, that he was called once again into fighting for Uncle Sam. That's right, I said once again, because as depicted in the movie, Frank did serve in the Marines. Frank was so good at being a Marine that he fought in many secret missions all around the world from 1975 until 1980. A brochure from his dojo from the 80s described him as, quote, "one of the most decorated veterans of the Southeast Asian conflict." That's right. Frank joined the military in 1975 and somehow convinced the army to go back into Vietnam, even though they'd left 3 years earlier. During his time there, he claimed to have successfully charged an enemy machine gun nest and turned it on the enemy, killing 100 hostiles and rescuing victory from the clutches of defeat. Oh, and speaking of rescuing, Frank also claimed to have once climbed on his hands and knees through a minefield underneath barbed wire in order to rescue a baby that he later turned over to Taoist priests. Frank was even awarded the Medal of Honor for his work. Now, back to 1981. Frank is standing at a urinal next to CIA Director William Casey. How did Dukes know it was William Casey? Well, according to him, Casey introduced himself as, quote, "the head of the fucking CIA." Casey immediately recruited Dukes to work for the CIA, which he reportedly did for 6 years, from 1981 until 1987. During that time, Dukes carried out covert operations all over the world. He killed high-level Russian spies, infiltrated the Chinese mafia, took out a mole within the CIA, trained Ukrainian special forces, and even rescued a boat full of orphans from Filipino pirates. Dukes details all of his exploits in his book from 1996, The Secret Man, or at least he did. The book is long out of print, and Dukes has backed off or at least toned down many of the claims that he made in it. In 1987, the same year his time with the CIA conveniently came to an end, Frank Dukes began working on his autobiographical film Bloodsport. Frank wrote the original screenplay himself, although it was later adapted by Sheldon Lettich, who changed the story around so much that Dukes almost went to court with the producers. But Dukes ended up staying on board and headed up the fight choreography for the film. On the set of Bloodsport, Dukes and Van Damme reportedly had problems working together in the beginning. Dukes has gone on to claim that while he was an amazing performer, Van Damme was a terrible fighter. And according to Dukes, their disagreements even turned physical on at least one occasion. Quote, Jean-Claude and I went at it for real one day on set. Both of us real mad. And I told him to meet me on the roof of the Victoria Hotel and I'll show him who's a champion. We met there, 60 stories up, and I stood on the section that was no wider than 18 inches. I told him we'd fight right there, and then did a full rotation spinning heel kick and stared him down. You could see his heart falling into his chest, and he said, Frank, you're crazy. After that, we went to dinner, and he never raised his voice to me again. End quote. Bloodsport was completed for only $1.5 million, and it put Van Damme on the map. The problems between Frank Dukes and reality started shortly after the release of Bloodsport in 1988 with the publication of an expose in the LA Times by John Johnson. In it, Johnson uncovered that Frank had mostly fabricated his military career. He had never won a Medal of Honor or served in any capacity as a spy for the military. In fact, during his time in the Marines, he had never left the United States. The only injury Frank ever sustained during his time in the military was when he fell off a truck that he was painting. In an effort to prove his military history, Dukes provided a photograph of himself in his Marine Corps uniform wearing all of the ribbons that he'd accrued over the years. There was one small issue with the photograph. The ribbons Dukes is wearing in photos are Army ribbons and not Marine ribbons, and they're in the wrong order. Also detailed in the article is this juicy little tidbit. There is no corroborating evidence to support the existence of Frank's legendary Shidoshi Shinzo Tanaka. This is from the LA Times article dated May 1st, 1988. Quote, pressed in an interview for details, Dukes said he did not know where Tanaka's family is, and said he is not even sure if Tanaka is alive or dead. The manuscript states that Dukes' teacher was found dead on July 30th, 1975, and was buried by a ninja clan in California. No trace of Tanaka could be found in historical text or from independent martial arts experts. California state death records show no Tanaka dying on July 30th of any year in the 1970s. When told of the findings, Dukes said the man was living under an assumed name. The article goes on to assert that there is actually no evidence at all for the Kumite either. According to Dukes, the IFAA, by some crazy coincidence, dissolved sometime between the 1975 tournament and the year that Dukes went public with his having won the 1975 tournament. Don't worry, though, the IFAA's hard numbers as to who won fights and when are dutifully maintained on the website of the Black Dragon Fighting Society, a website run by, you guessed it, Frank Dukes. Also, when Johnson asked about Frank's involvement with the CIA, the agency's director wrote a letter back to Johnson during his investigation specifically denying any past or present involvement whatsoever with Frank Dukes. When the allegations came out, Dukes argued that the only person who could have confirmed his involvement was the man who hired him at the urinal, CIA Director William Casey. Unfortunately, by some crazy coincidence, William Casey died in 1987, just a few months before Dukes decided to disclose that he'd been working for the CIA. Dukes was pissed about the article and went on the defensive. Amazingly, Dukes claimed that the author of the LA Times article, John Johnson, was having an affair with his wife and was trying to destroy his name in the press so that she'd leave him. It was a weird defense. For the next few years, Dukes continued his work at the dojo in Woodland Hills, and in 1993 he came out of retirement in order to punch through bulletproof glass at a martial arts exhibition in Paris. All the while, Dukes was still doing fight choreography for Van Damme. He worked on many of his films in the early 90s, such as Lionheart and Double Impact. In 1991, Van Damme and Dukes began working together on the script for the film that would become The Quest. When the movie was released in 1996, however, Frank sued Van Damme for stealing his movie. In the courtroom, Dukes claimed that The Quest was mostly lifted from a script that he'd written, and he felt he was owed $1.5 million in damages for only receiving a story by credit and not one for writing in the finished film. The script Frank wrote was called Enter the New Dragon. The case seemed cut and dry. If Dukes could produce the script that he'd written as well as Van Damme's signed contract that acknowledged his authorship, That 1.5 mil was his for the taking. Unfortunately, by some crazy coincidence, the original manuscript and Van Damme's contract were both destroyed by the 1994 Northridge earthquake that damaged Frank's apartment. And because it's Frank Dukes and the guy just can't catch a break, the quake didn't damage anyone else's apartment in the building, just Frank's. Unlike their epic fight on the roof back in '87, Jean-Claude won this round. The case against him was dismissed. Frank Dukes is still out there, kicking ass in the San Fernando Valley. He's always claimed that his naysayers in the press are all part of a conspiracy amongst the owners of other local dojos who are trying to torpedo his reputation. In 2010, a documentary was released about Frank called Put Your Dukes Up. In one of the final scenes, Frank is shown shaving his face and claiming that one time his father was kidnapped, and the police wouldn't do anything about it because they knew him, and they knew about the bad press, and so they wouldn't listen to him. Frank says that he had to, quote, handle the situation in a way that I'm not at liberty to talk about. But the situation got handled. That said, the movie does show Frank teaching close combat martial arts to in-uniform army soldiers, so who the hell knows what's real with this guy? When he was interviewed about the trial in his book The Secret Man for Martial Arts magazine back in 1996, Frank was asked to address his critics directly. He did so by saying, quote, remember the words of Thomas Jefferson, you show me a man without controversy, and I will show you a man without character. I welcome and invite all to meet me in person and judge for themselves who I am and what I'm capable of. Frank Dukes. He'll beat the shit out of you, and he's got lots of character to boot. Allegedly!
I fight to survive!
But yeah, Frank Dukes, the bassist for Jean-Claude Van Damme's character in Bloodsport, was at the Liquid Zoo one night, just hanging out, watching the open mic. And
Oh, yeah?
yeah,
Did you fight him?
Why not?
Missed
Yeah.
opportunity. Y'all go down there. What night is it, Rivers?
Wednesday night, Liquid
Y'all go
Zoo.
down there, beat this boy's ass.
It's right at the corner of Sherman Oaks and
It'll be your BJJ versus his Ducks Kwon Do. You know?
Oh, man.
Sherman Oaks and Sepulveda, right there in beautiful Van Nuys, California.
I'll
in,
represent.
in what they call the hooker district.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I mean, if
Now I know
you're a
everything.
hooker, you know what I'm saying?
Catch can. Yeah, that's why they
can, a
call it
hooker.
that.
Yep.
So how far along are you in? How far along are you in BJJ? Are you
Every time you say that, I want to giggle, Pat.
BJJ?
BJJ?
Yeah.
Because I mean, getting back to it, BJJ is getting franchised out now.
I'm a blue belt, by the way.
Oh, cool.
To answer your question. But yeah, that's sort of a thing that's become like, that was what was so great about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is that that was sort of the reason they started the UFC and why they started Vale Tudo was because they wanted to show that their martial art was like legitimate and that it wasn't like all the other like karate and taekwondo
Oh, so they wanted
who
to,
were
like-
doing dances. They were like, no, we'll actually kill you with our thing. And that's how they started to get. They would in
that's
Brazil. That's how they advertised. They would just go kick people's ass. They would invite anybody in here. Come on into our academy if you think you're a tough guy. We'll fight you. And then they would just choke them out in seconds.
Oh,
It
that's
was
kind of
quick.
great.
Well, yeah, you know
Yeah.
a lot of them, you know, pretty martial arts like they teach the kids at the gyms, like your karate and things like that. They were once very popular, so they became very big on form, and it became almost like a dance. But there's other martial arts that are just badass. We just
Yeah.
learn to break bones and shit.
Yeah, like catch is just ridiculous. Like in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, they tend to be a little bit more gentle, although some people are assholes. But yeah, like catch. Oh,
Yeah.
those people are
Or
savages.
sambo?
Yeah,
It
man.
seems like there's a lot of blending of styles and stuff.
There are, and there
Yeah.
always have been. Like, if you go back, like, there's certain moves in jiu-jitsu that are called one thing, that are called something else in judo, and something else in catch. If you go back, they're all, like, interrelated. Judo and catch are so similar because of the crossover, like, right around, like, the beginning of the 20th century, like, in the 18 and 1900s. There was a lot of, like, catch wrestlers coming over, and because everybody always wants their martial art to be proven to be the best, so they would catch wrestlers would go to judo tournaments and fight them, and then the same backwards and forwards, and so then people, you know, not all of them are going to be cocksuckers, and you know they're not going to be dickheads to everybody, and so they're going to like share ideas with each other, and that's how they sort of blend together. But then everybody wants to define each one of these moves, and they want to claim, you know, we did it first or this. It's all bullshit. It's all grappling, honestly.
So is the idea a judo style takedown and then the grappling?
Yeah, it was to be able to. I think if I remember what I've like read about like the beginning of judo, the guy that started it really just wanted to have a way to be able to throw you onto the ground so hard that you basically weren't going to be able to do anything else.
Yeah.
Like the fight was going to be over. Like if you, in a lot of those throws, if you don't know how to fall in judo, and even if you are on a mat and you don't know how to fall and somebody throws you, you're going to get the win. You're going to get knocked out.
It was a self-defense technique, wasn't it? And Japanese soldiers learned it in World War II because you could disable an enemy that came up behind you and just throw him, right? Mm-hmm. So
Yeah.
a lot of people learned it during World War II because of the war, and then it became really popular after the war. Wasn't that what happened?
It was really popular before in Japan. Like it was taught like
Well, I mean,
PE
elsewhere.
is taught. Oh yeah,
Like it went to the
yeah.
U.S. and everything, and that was sort of the beginning of the martial arts craze, or the seed.
Yeah.
Wow, really?
Well,
So
also, the
guys-
guy that started it would do seminars in the United States. He went on these long tours. Jigoro Kano would go on these long tours where he would kind of do these demonstrations because he was a very slight guy. And he was actually a professor. He was a professor of kinesiology or something like that.
That's how
So
he
there
knew
was-
how to be able to move
Yeah,
people
so he
around
would do
well,
these
yes.
lectures, and he was a very slight man, and even he was quite old when he would do these lectures, and he would just throw guys that were 200, 250 pounds. Even into his 90s, he would do that sort of thing because he knew kind of the inertia and the momentum, and that's kind of where it picked up because he would do these kind of lecture tours.
This
of
Japanese
his-
guy?
Yeah, Jigoro
So he's
Kano.
like
yeah.
the Japanese Stu Hart. I'm kind of imagining.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Let me throw
Come over here, throw you across the room. to like see somebody that little throw somebody that big is insane.
Yeah.
And that's sort of like when you asked me what like got me into it was me going into like my first or second class and getting triangle choked by this like 120-pound girl,
Yeah.
Mary, back in Lawrence, Kansas. If you still
I
exist.
love Lawrence, Kansas.
I love being triangle choked by 120-pound girls.
She changed my whole life because I was trying to find her.
Was this at this was like at the
the
school.
dojo.
One of my first or second classes, man. Yeah,
Okay.
it really was.
Wow.
And this
Wasn't just a bar fight or nothing.
no, yeah.
You're like fucking with her boyfriend or something. and all of a
she got
sudden-
out of line with me, you know.
Who'd want to be her boyfriend if that was the
I
case?
would.
I would.
Yeah.
She'd beat your ass.
No, but that'd be great to just be at a bar like girlfriend kill.
Yeah, but then you got to go home with her.
That'd be fine.
But you
Right,
got to do
she's
what
all-
she says.
She's all hot and bothered from the fight. She's ready.
I'm I'm into that.
She's turned on.
Yeah, but
She
y'all
likes
have
it.
a fight, she can kick your ass, so she's going to get her way on everything.
You just gotta respect her.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
always
she is
right.
not getting the TV because we watch what I want.
Not anymore. You don't.
No, she's leaving the house then. I'm not watching that
honey.
Big Bang Theory crap or whatever the hell it is women watch.
Oh, see, I was thinking it'd be, honey, do you want to watch something besides Hard Boiled?
Honestly, if I remember things right about Mary, I doubt she owned a TV.
Was she nice?
Oh, she was the sweetest person in the world. That's a lot of people that do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu
No
tend to be
offense
the
to you,
nicest
Mary.
people in
Yeah.
the world.
Yeah.
This was
Yeah.
hypotheticals about women that can do the martial arts real good and kick your ass. But
Oh,
you're wonderful, Mary.
I think there is like a certain confidence and a certain like niceness that comes with knowing that you can beat the shit out of everyone in the room. You know what I mean? Like you have like a lot that you're not threatened by anything. So
Or just-
maybe that's it.
Maybe not knowing you beat the shit out of everybody in the room, but just like knowing that someone else can easily beat the shit out of you. Just knowing how easy it is to get your limbs broken off. It's also just like maybe I'll behave.
Maybe I'll be nice. Yeah.
I'll be a good guy.
So it goes
Because
both
I don't
ways.
know what all you know. In
Yeah.
the same way that you don't know what I can do.
But yeah, so you took a was this like at a gym or a dojo or like what's this as?
Yeah, I found like this like small school that actually ended up turning in. I went by it right before I moved out to LA because I was in Lawrence, and it's a circus school now. But at the time,
Clown
it was
college, all right.
whatever.
Just
the
clowns
fuck
beating the tar out of each other.
There's a bunch of like hanging strings and an elephant on a
Smoking
step stool.
cigarettes, punching each other in the stomach.
Yeah, it's real weird now around there. But at the time, it was Lawrence Jiu-Jitsu, and it was just like ran by a blue belt. And there was like a couple people that he had there. Basically, he just ran it. That's how he paid his rent. He was a door guy at a bar, and he also sold survival kits for the zombie apocalypse. A good guy. Never
That's
could.
a dojo right there.
That's-
Well, you think
that-
the jiu-jitsu alone would get him through it.
Right. But no, I know he had to give it to the people that didn't know jiu-jitsu.
So is that the ultimate job? I mean, obviously there's better jobs, but if you're on that kind of level of jujitsu, like being a bouncer, because you actually get to like maybe apply it every once in a while.
I'm sure. Yeah, there's some people that would really enjoy it. I knew one guy that was just like one of the most timid people in the world. He was a door guy and like smaller than me and just like less assuming than any person you've ever met. And he was a door guy at one of the bars in Lawrence simply based on the fact that he had like 3 months of jiu-jitsu experience.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I guess
So practical aspects of jiu-jitsu will get you a job in Lawrence.
Yeah. Work the door at the replay.
Yeah, hell yeah. That's a Lawrence reference, baby.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Beat the shit out of hipsters all night long.
If they'd had them jiu-jitsu boys years ago, John Brown wouldn't have got nowhere around there.
That's right. Yeah, there's another Lawrence
Was that
reference.
John Brown or was that the Missouri Border Ruffians who did the Lawrence raid?
It was the Missouri Border Ruffians because they burned the city down.
And they had a cannon, right? And they blew up a hotel.
Yeah, yeah. And now that they rebuilt the hotel, and now it's a junk shop downtown. It's 3 stories.
Wow, you learned Rivers, you're better than Hugh Hauser because you do the whole country. Listen to this.
Yeah,
I love Lawrence.
big fan.
Isn't that amazing?
It's amazing.
Encinitas. I love that guy. I didn't know he was such a cult.
There's a dog eating a corn.
That is amazing.
One of my favorite Huelhausers was when he went to. This was like one where he went outside of California and he went to Las Vegas for a pizza making convention.
Can he still do that? Go outside of California?
Well, he's dead now, but
Well, but when he wasn't.
but no, he went outside of California to do a pizza
He's
making
from
convention.
Bama.
Oh yeah, I thought he was from Tennessee or something. I mean, he clearly wasn't from California.
Yeah.
He became so obsessed with it. I'm surprised he ever left.
But
there was
I can relate.
There was a thing where he took this guy that was an artisanal pizza chef to this pizza making convention, and they had all these kind of like contraptions to press dough, and he's just like, doesn't it make you angry to see all these machines doing the craft that you spent all this time to perfect?
The oncoming robot masters will destroy all of us.
That
And they'll
is
even-
amazing.
They'll even make our pizza.
Yeah.
I need a pizza robot. Fuck that dude.
Yeah.
Everybody has the same body for the most part. Everybody's got legs and arms and shit, and they have similar brains. So everything, like, there's only so many things. There's a lot of things that you can do to the body, but there's at the same time, there's only so many things. So you're gonna have intertwining. Like, there's so many times that I'll do something in a class or just like in sparring. That I'll be like, holy shit, I've never seen anybody do that before. That was pretty cool. And then you go and you look online and there's 16 instructionals about how to do the exact same thing that you thought you came up with. So there's a lot of fuckery afoot. It's all just grappling. It's all like, everybody, this became this became that. It's everybody just trying to break each other's arms off.
Long as well, Tom, it's worth mentioning, everybody thinks martial arts, they think of Asia, and, because they have the most, like, famous and probably elaborate theories of the martial arts. But martial arts develop independently pretty much everywhere there's been people throughout history. There's always been some kind of, like, martial art or folk fighting or folk, like, wrestling or fighting form that's caught on everywhere.
Yeah. And it's just the oldest form of competition was I'm going to beat your ass and I'm going to get the pussy.
Yeah.
That's what it was. I'm going to beat your ass, I'm going to kill that cow, and I'm going to fuck that lady over there. And that's all you did. And I'm going to worship the sun god and thank him for everything that he gave me. All the blessings.
It's
Football didn't exist.
Yeah, it's getting back to the simple life. What life's all about, really.
The good old days.
Yeah.
That's what my grandfather always talked about.
Those were the good old days, too.
Yeah.
They really were.
Just where you could club somebody over the head.
Yeah, just club them over the head and take Wilma home. We just
You
have
belong
that
to
now.
me.
I was going to ask, does everybody have a favorite martial arts film? Because this is the only thing I know to talk about with that subject.
Favorite martial arts film? The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise, or Rush Hour 2. Rush Hour 2.
Not Shanghai Nights.
I was going to say, does Billy Jack still count as a martial arts movie?
Honestly, Three Ninjas, probably.
Dude, with the...
Which one had Hulk Hogan? Was that,
That was
Magic Mountain?
Magic Mountain, yeah.
Three Ninjas 3, High Noon at Magic Mountain.
Oh, what a good one.
We should do like a UFC 1 style tournament bracket with all the like
All three
martial
of the ninjas?
arts
Oh,
guys.
man.
Yeah. That'd be great.
I'm taking Tum Tum.
Yeah. Tom with his pepper bombs that he made out of coffee filters.
Right. All the good and plenties.
Yeah.
What were the other two? Because I remember the other two ninjas had great names.
Rocky and Colt.
Yeah, Rocky, Colt, and then fucking the little kid
Tum-Tum.
gets to be Tum Tum. Fuck you.
There are so many bad, like,
And his
Tum-Tum.
colors were like throw up yellow and orange
Yeah,
too.
Tum
Well, maybe
Tum
that's why he
sucks.
was Tum, indigestion. Tums.
I like all the just genre of bad kids martial arts movies because there's like 3 ninjas and there was like surf ninjas
Oh man.
with Ernie Reyes Jr. and
Karate
Tone Loc.
Kid to a certain extent.
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah, it
bad.
was all built off of Karate Kid.
Yeah.
Those martial arts films, I think, had a lot to do with the McDojoing of a lot of like the Japanese martial
Yeah.
arts, like karate and taekwondo. Because, like you said, once he came over to America, started showing seminars. It started in like, Bruce Lee becomes a thing.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
all of a sudden,
Yeah.
everybody wants to be, a karate master and everything.
Carl Douglas, are we going to play that, Rivers?
Oh, we are. Oh, of course we are.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning.
I love that song. I tell you, no lie, no shame, no guilty pleasure. I love that song.
That's a great song.
I could listen to it for hours.
Kung Fu Fighting by
Yeah.
Yeah. It's,
I remember when Billy Graham would come down to the ring to that.
Well, he's the greatest martial artist of all time.
By the way, I was talking to my buddy about this. We decided that if we were, because we always play the game, what would your walkout song be if you were like an MMA fighter? And
Yeah.
we definitely decided that whatever it would be, we would sing it ourselves.
Oh,
As we'd walk out, we'd be just
like
jamming.
those, you'd sing it while you walked out.
Yeah.
I thought you just have an a cappella thing like those guys from Carmen San Diego.
Wasn't there a guy that's
Hey, remember those guys?
rockapella just coming out with
They were a little bit fey, but hey, they could sing.
That's true.
Well, isn't like there was a guy that was a Japanese mixed martial artist who did that. He would come to he would fight in like K1 or something like that. And
Really?
He would come to the ring in these
hilarious.
elaborate costumes and sing his theme music.
Would he have a backing track or just?
Yeah, he would. And
Okay,
I'm trying
good,
and you
good.
have
Well,
dance
they
moves.
love their karaoke.
no,
over
that-
there.
And he had dance
They do.
moves and stuff like that. Like he would have like
How
an
long
elaborate
until Manny
choreographed.
Pacquiao starts doing this?
He's already made records.
It seems like the UFC wants to be more like wrestling, just
Well,
to
yeah.
get more people to watch.
Well, people have said, how long, like wrestling, how long until they decide, hey, we're going to make more money if we fix this a little bit. And then it'll just evolve like wrestling did.
I think right now what they do is they're just like, hey, look, you can act however you want, you can say whatever you want, you can do whatever you want. If you just want to be the fighter, the dude that shuts up and just beats people's ass, more than welcome to. Or if you want to make some money, you can do like Conor McGregor and be an asshole and be very loud and be a wrestling character, basically.
Yeah.
And also fight and just beat the shit out of people. But you're going to get more people to want to watch your fights. You're going to get bigger cards if you are loud.
It's pretty much how wrestling started on like
Yeah.
the carnival level.
Yeah?
Yeah, you bring out guys like that, have them be more colorful to get people interested. You sometimes work things to make it more of a show. It seems like it's going the same way.
Yeah,
just-
because people cut promos now and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Like a Conor McGregor or Daniel Cormier cuts promos, and the guy's name is Genki Sudo. That's
Genki Sudo.
Yeah, and his big thing is he wanted to create peace through his mixed martial arts
Peace
career.
through beating ass.
Yeah, so his whole thing was we are all
a crazy
one.
person.
So he had a song called "We Are All One," and he would sing it on the way to the ring, and he would like bring out these flags like the United Nations flag, and it would say "We Are All One" or like a flag with all the nations flags on there. So he was like using his MMA abilities for good.
he sounds
And
like
he
a
would
sweetheart.
Yeah, he does.
Using his MMA ability.
Did he win?
He was pretty good, I guess.
That's kind of Muhammad Ali's thing too. He was always a big peace and love guy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
but
he
he did-
also had the heel wrestler thing.
Oh, totally.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
but I'm just saying, like he objected to Vietnam, and that's that old George Carlin joke.
He's back at work again. He's being allowed to work once again, Muhammad Ali. He wasn't for a while, as you know. For about 3.5 years, they didn't let him work. Of course, he had an unusual job, beating people up. It's a strange calling, But it's one you're entitled to. Government didn't see it that way. Government wanted him to change jobs. Government wanted him to kill people. He said, no, that's where I draw the line. I'll beat him up, but I don't want to kill him. And the government... The government said, well, if you won't kill him, we won't let you beat him up.
But
So-
yeah, no, I mean, MMA has gotten, but at the same time, they're trying to take away the personalities because they have to wear all the Reebok gear now, so you can't actually dress up in weird costumes, like a filthy Tom
Wait,
Lawler
you
or
have to
something.
wear Reebok?
Yeah,
That's in the UFC.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
other organizations
you.
you don't have to.
I wouldn't wear it. Dude, I would just, no.
Dude, the uniforms are ugly as shit.
Yeah, Reebok sucks. This is
bad.
what they just have like an exclusive
Yeah, what
deal.
is this? The '80s or something?
Yeah, that seems terrible.
Yeah, right. They got Starters going to be their new sponsor.
I want BEM equipment.
I want to be the LA Gear guy.
Yeah.
Just have light up everything.
Making his way to the ring, decked out in Stussy.
Yeah, I want LA Gear that when I punch somebody, my MMA gloves just light up.
Dude,
LA Lights.
my
great.
LA Gear stuff.
Just shut off all the lights in the arena and have them fight each other with the lights in their gloves.
Dude,
it's the only thing
yeah.
you can see.
That'd be
But
fucking
one,
sweet.
but
Be
one,
the greatest acid trip
but one
ever.
MMA guy that I think you would be into, Rivers, is this guy named Filthy Tom Lawler. And his big thing was that he's a big pro wrestling guy. And he would dress up for the weigh-ins. And sometimes he would come, one time he came to the Octagon to the Hulk Hogan's Real American song, and he did the whole Hulk Hogan sort of routine. But one time for a weigh-in, he came in as the Shockmaster.
Oh, yeah, you showed me this.
Yeah, he had the mask and stuff, and he walked up to the scale and tripped, and the mask fell off. One time he came as Dan the Beast Severin, and he came in with the Dan the Beast,
high-waisted
the
pants.
high-waisted granny panty tights and the mustache, and he was just doing this. He came in as one glove Jimerson one time. You know,
man, beautiful.
yeah, and that was his whole thing. And he would come in and he would do all these crazy sort of inside references and stuff like that. And you would just see Joe Rogan in the back laughing his ass
dying.
off just because he comes in as the Just Bleed guy or something like that.
Yeah, I wish that more of those guys weren't so damn tough that they would do that, because that would make it so much more fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it's also very serious if you're just constantly, even just why are you flexing and pissed off while you're on a scale? Have a little fun sometime, man.
Yeah.
Calm down.
What are the best, I guess, tips that you've picked up from studying jiu-jitsu, as far as even if they're just life tips, ways to live, or just helpful things for maybe winning a bar fight?
Chokes are giant killers.
Yeah.
If you ever have anybody bigger than you, you're not going to armbar them.
Jump on their back.
Choke them.
Yeah.
Do you recommend standing choke or get them on the ground and choke them?
I recommend choking them however you can choke them before they hit you in the face a lot.
What's the
'Cause
best?
They're bigger than you.
What's the best
Yeah, but
joke?
if
The
they're
$1
bigger than
million
you, that's hard to
dream
get
or the Brutus Beefcake sleeper hold?
Yeah.
The rear naked choke, which is where you get naked and you get on their back and you choke them and dig your hips into them real
surprise
nice.
the hell out of them.
Well, that sounds like it would take a lot of time if it's a cold day and maybe you have a lot of layers on or something.
All right.
Well, you got to smoke a lot of PCP before you use that move.
Well, the thing is, you got to understand the situation and assess it.
Well, if you get the PCP, you don't even need the martial arts.
Yeah. I don't know. It taught me a lot about patience and just not rushing into things, because there's a lot of when you get into certain spots, you can get into a mindset where you know that there's a position past this one that you want to get to, and then you can rush to it. But if you rush to it, then you can give up a certain technique, and they can end up sweeping you, or you can end up in a worse position than you were in.
Yeah.
But if you're patient and you just wait for them to make a mistake, then you can eventually work your way there. It kind of opens itself up to you. You can take that and use it in life a lot. So even in stand up, where there's certain times where you're into a set and you really want it's not going so well at that point in time, and so you're going to try to bombard them and you're oh fuck this, I'm going to get you on my side.
Yeah.
And then it just goes even worse. You just lose them even more. It's like holding on too tight, you lose it. But if you're just patient, you wait and you keep your head about you,
Yeah.
things will go a little better.
That makes sense. I love that.
So it's cool in the sense that it can teach you a lot about life and different things.
It
That's
doesn't
awesome.
sound like it's good to do high or you'll lose the...
Really good to do high.
Really? Is it?
Yeah, I hope my boss doesn't listen, but
Because I get confused sometimes, and I think I would lose my train of thought as to what I'm going to do next.
you don't want to train a thought, honestly,
Okay.
man. I used to, I started it just for something to do after football, to stay in shape and get in shape, and that worked out fine, and to not be so damn angry all the time. But then, I found I could never, meditate, as weird as this is, and I always wanted to, because my mind goes a mile a minute, and so I always thought that would be cool, but if I just sit there in a room and breathe, I go to bed. That's all. And then as I started fighting more, I used to get just like when you're a white belt, you're just gonna get your ass beat over and over and over again. And I always found that I was just like one step behind whoever I was fighting, whether just a little bit more advanced of me. I would think I would see the position in my head, and then I would think, okay, I could do this, this, or this. And then I would decide, okay, I'm going to do this. How do I do that? It's got 3 parts. Boom, boom, boom. By the time I've got this decision to be made, I'm on my back now. I'm swept. Somebody, you know what I mean? They reacted that much quicker. And so, like a good little boy, I went online and started watching Bruce Lee interviews.
Yeah.
And he said something that was like in a famous interview. You might have seen it, where he talks about being like water.
This is what it is, okay? I said, empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water. Now, you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now, water can flow, or it can crash. Be water, my friend.
Water only reacts. It doesn't do anything else. So he said, in the same way in martial arts, you have to be the same way. Just react and become whatever it is that's happening around you. Basically, just blank out your mind. Don't think about anything and just be reactive. So I started to think about that. The more that I rolled, the more that I sparred, I was thinking, just clear your mind. Don't think of anything. Don't think of anything. Don't think of anything. And just react. And at first, those reactions sucked. When I'm, I just trying to react, my reactions were wrong.
Yeah.
But as I started to do that more, my reactions started to get more correct. My muscle memory started, seen this before, I just go here, or even if it's, I've seen this before, don't put your foot there or you're going to die. Just simple things like that. And all of a sudden, my mind started to go blank when I would roll, and I would just react. And there would be nothing going on in here. It would just be moving, reacting. Where are your hands? Where are my hands? Where are my feet? Where's your weight? Where's my weight? All of those things. And then that was like the first time that I'd ever got to like a clear meditative state. Where like, you know what I mean? Like the idea of meditation is to just relax your mind and not be thinking about anything and just be very present in the moment.
Yeah.
And the only time that I've ever been able to do that is doing like jiu-jitsu or stand-up even. It'll happen sometimes there where my mind just goes blank and I'm just reacting to everything that's going on around me, and you're just, you know what I mean? You've done your jokes so many times that you say them and you kind of just like work with their energy. Same thing with fighting. It's just your mind goes blank and you just kind of, you've been there before and you know. That's why it's so much fun to go like for sparring sessions that are like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It's just because it's just 20 minutes of blank brain reacting and just like a dance back and forth between you and another person.
Wow.
It's really cool.
Kind of romantic when you put it that way.
It's really, really cute.
Sounds amazing.
Well, it's interesting, Rivers, that you're the only person that isn't a practitioner of the martial arts here, because Goodnight here.
Well, that's true. We haven't talked about that much because I'm being modest, but
Right, I appreciate you.
I am an expert at Gong Fu.
Gong Fu?
Gong Fu.
Explain Gong Fu to me.
Oh, Gong Fu. It's a great martial arts fighting form. Some people, the masses will call it Kung Fu, but I use the proper pronunciation, which is Gong Fu.
Where did you learn
with it then?
Oh, I learned. See, here's the thing. I didn't go to no Mac Dojo, and I ain't got no legit belts, you understand? But I fought on Boogie Street in Singapore, and fighting in the alleys and underground in Singapore, I learned all the martial arts the hard way, you understand? So I only break out my Kung Fu on special occasions, mainly to show these karate boys that, because they're all about form, and it's very pretty and all that at the Mac Dojos and the malls and all that.
And the Burger Kings.
And all this. If they're in line in front of me in the Burger King, for example, and they try that karate, there's a thing. There's a place on Venice, Kenpo Karate, and they say they have a sign outside. It says the seasons change, but Kenpo remains. But every week on Wednesday, when Goodnight shows up, Kenpo goes the fuck away.
Yeah.
Because they know Gong Fu is in the neighborhood.
Brian Dawkins' Kenpo doesn't know how to react.
Yeah, they run from me because they fear my deadly fists and feet and everything else.
What's the big moves in your Kung Fu practice?
Well, it's interesting because not only am I good at all the chops and kicks and throws and things like this. You remember when you talked about making your own art up? Mm-hmm. I've actually developed my own. And not many people know this. It's called Art of the Penguin, and it takes 4 forms. There's form of the penguin, form of the snail, form of the dragon, and form of the sharpened popsicle sticks. And I can kill a man at least 7 or 8 ways with all 4 forms. So I've learned a lot.
Seems like the dragon.
So you know a couple
Yeah.
different forms of fighting.
Yeah, I do.
I've heard that you're the master, one of the few people that have actually mastered the Asiatic mist.
Oh, that's right. I
Yeah.
can spit mist. I don't like. See, you can't really do that on the radio, and of course, I can't demonstrate all that on the radio. But I can spit mist too.
You can spit mist?
Yeah.
Like, is that like acid?
No.
Well, the different colors of
Well,
it.
there's
yeah.
different colors.
Yeah.
There's red and green. I like to go with the green myself, but you spit it in somebody's eyes, it can either poison them or burn them or blind them. I learned it from the great Kabuki and the great Muta and Gary Hart, and I could show you it sometime.
I know Muta.
Yeah, you know Muta?
Yeah, go way back.
Oh, really? You can shoot?
yeah.
Do y'all ever bleed on the Muta scale? bro? But I mean, you're a practitioner of the arts. You know what I mean? Maybe
Yeah.
after the show we'll spar a little bit or something, and I'll show
You got to
the
show me
mist.
that mist shit.
Yeah.
Mix more into your mixed martial arts. You know?
That's true. Yeah, I've been meaning to break it out more, but there's certain laws and things like this, and pending lawsuits and things involving some broken jaws and things that kind of prevent me from doing it on the spot these days. But once that clears up, maybe you'll see some more martial arts demonstrations from Mr. Goodnight.
Right, yeah. Well, I mean, it's when you know a real martial art like yours, then that's
Yeah.
dangerous. Yeah, I'm just like wrestling like it's a kid's wrestling
No, but
match.
no, I thought, when you're talking about it, the way you talk about it, I can tell you really understand it. And that's a legit blue belt. Now, I granted would have black if, I was on the up and up and probably level like 28 or something like that.
Probably.
But
Is this Scientology now?
no. This is
I know the secrets.
Level 28.
This is the school of the streets. You understand? The school of Boogie Street, the death matches in Singapore and things like that.
If
brutal.
If Boogie Street and Bad Street had a fight,
Oh, well, Bad Street would win because, you might as well call in the Army, the United States Marines, because can't nobody handle that Bad Street scene. But Boogie Street is where the martial arts shits go down, you understand? And they know the name of Goodnight on Boogie Street in Singapore. Y'all come down there with me. They'll know your name, too.
I'll come.
Introduce that BJJ down to Boogie Street, because I think you might
I
kick
wouldn't
some
disrespect
ass.
Boogie Street. Like
Oh, no,
that.
no, you have
Just
to.
don't paint your face.
You have to disrespect Boogie Street?
No. You just go there and kick ass. The only thing I'm just saying, people shouldn't disrespect Boogie Street. If somebody's fought on Boogie Street, that is like the most brutal kung fu deathmatch fighting you can find.
Yeah.
You know?
That's where they do the dragon shy, right?
Yeah, they have the Dragon Shy match with the kendo sticks and things like that. But I think you bring the BJJ down there, you get them some of them takedowns. I think you'll take them boys by surprise.
I'll take that kendo stick out of their hand.
okay.
Yeah. You'll be a 60th level black belt on Boogie Street, maybe.
Is that how you get a 60th level black belt? You just
Well,
take one kendo stick?
It's an equivalent. It's not an official thing. It's an equivalent. You have to think at some point, well, if I guess I'd gone to the Mac Dojo, I'd probably be about level 60 by now. And that's usually how I grade myself. Because I don't have, technically, I'm not recognized as a black belt anywhere. But I've learned the same skills. So we're going to have to go to
Let's
Singapore.
go. Take me down there.
Let's do it. We'll
When's
do
the next time you're going?
Let's see. Well, I've got a Boogie Street death match, I think, signed up with some of them Kenpo Parada. But sometimes
I wouldn't want to show up during your death. I don't want to, impose on...
No, I won't die. They might, though. So that might be a little tricky for them. But if y'all want to come down to Venice sometimes, we'll go beat up some of them Kenpo Karate boys if they don't run away from Mr. Goodnight again like they do every Wednesday.
Wednesday nights, baby. I'll go down there and fight some Kenpo Karate guys.
Let's
with you,
do
Mr.
it, man.
Goodnight.
We'll be like our own martial arts movie or something. I like this stuff.
Dojo storming, I think is what they call it.
Dojo stuff. I like it.
I'm coming for your dojo or whatever. I don't know what you get if you dojo storm and you win.
Just a bunch of geese.
And a lot of
You get all their fake ass trophies.
You
You get that big
no.
trophy that's up to the
you
ceiling.
get the
that they keep.
satisfaction of looking at a bunch of kicked asses around your feet. And that's, in a lot of ways, what it's all about. That, of course, and the mental discipline.
Zach, where can people find you on the internet, sir?
You can find me Twitter. My Twitter name is @ZachSmithFucks.
How do you spell that?
ZACHSMITHFUCKS.
Oh, so you didn't even go FUX.
I was
love
hoping
it.
for an FUX.
FUX with three X's and maybe
I
a
like
420 at the end. Yeah.
There's
That-
69.
I love that.
Yeah.
316.
We have a friend in Bama at Reed's penis.
Yeah,
So-
we do.
I love that.
He's in my phone as Reed's penis.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah. I love it when he calls while I'm like in proper company.
And you have a show at West Side Comedy Theater,
West Side Comedy Theater every first Friday at 11:30 p.m. It's me, Patrick Moore, and Joe Raines hosted. It's called Token Joke. It's a weed show, so we just try to get the comics that are on it as high as we can so that they can put on a wonderful show for the audience. We also have a show that we're trying to start up at IO West. It's a storytelling show, just comics telling new stories. We're doing the first one on November 28th. It's a Saturday night at 8 p.m. So you want to come to that? Come to that.
All right, then. Well, yeah, you can check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/TheGoodsPod. We're on Twitter at TheGoodsPod. Rate and review on iTunes. That helps us. Give us 5 stars. And, tweet at Zach Smith Fucks and tell him you heard him on the old show there.
Come on. I also
You should just tweet at Zach Smith Fucks.
And he
anyway.
fucks too, if y'all are interested.
He doesn't. I'm just celibate. Just a big fan of Silicon Valley, guys.
Yeah, you're
you
the-
can also go
like one glove Johnny. You don't actually have to
yeah,
or whatever
gloves.
his name was. One hand Smith. I forgot his name.
That's Fossil's nickname too.
One glove Johnny.
You can also check out
Where's the glove you don't want to do?
if you think that you might be into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I also host a show once a month on
Where you just kick people, kick a bunch of comedians' asses.
I just actually go down to the Kempo Karate myself
You
on
get
Wednesday
them
once a
boys,
month. Yeah, I go.
You can bum rush it after the show on Friday. It's not too far.
Not too far.
Yeah.
We're
Every
coming.
Tuesday, I go to the Comedy Store and just start kicking ass.
Just fight.
Fight.
I don't go to the Comedy Store. Rogan will show up and beat my ass. I go down to the Laugh Factory.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't need.
You could start your own version, you know? It could be your own version of the roast battle, except it's like kind of like
They actually fight.
yeah, you have a round and then you tell your jokes and then that goes into the point system. you know?
Okay, yeah. Winner of the two.
See, but that's like karate, not gung fu. That's all about form and points and shit. And we fight on the streets here, you understand?
Good night. We'll get together and we'll figure out the rules for this thing, if there will be any at all. But yeah,
If there is.
yeah,
That's the thing.
I don't think so. Once a month, we're going to be hosting a show at the Laugh Factory on Wednesday nights, where it's just a no holds barred fight. Me and Goodnight are going to host it. Main stage of the Laugh Factory. A lot of blood.
Yeah.
A lot of groin
If Kramer
punches.
comes by, we'll kick his ass.
Main event, Chris D'Elia versus Dane Cook.
Oh, dude.
If Dane wins, he gets back into the Laugh Factory.
Yeah, they let him back in. That'd be great.
It's just the two of them just flopping on the ground for 3 minutes.
I'd watch it, though. This would be so great. And then each one of them has to fight a real fighter afterwards.
Yeah.
All right.
But no, once a month, I do like a sparring commentary with one of the students from our academy, different students every month. It's called Afterthoughts. If you go to YouTube, the channel's Cobrinha BJJ, which is Cobrinha BJJ. And so check that out. That's usually the last Wednesday of every month we put that up.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Song of the week this week is the Raw Band. This song is called Clouds Across the Moon. See you next time.
Good evening. This is the intergalactic operator. Can I help you?
Yes, I'm trying to reach Flight Commander P.R. Johnson on Mars Flight 247.
Very well. Hold on, please. You're through.
Thank you, operator. Hi, darling. How you doing? Hey, baby. Were you sleeping? Oh, I'm sorry, but I've been really missing you. Hi, darling. How's the weather? Say, baby, is that cold better now? Oh, I'm sorry. Is there someone there nothing going right. I just can't sleep alone at night. I'm not ashamed to say I badly need a friend, or it's the end. Now when I look at the clouds across the moon, here in the night, just hope and pray that soon, oh baby, you'll hurry home to me. Hi, darling. The kids say they love you. Hey, baby, is everything fine with you? Please forgive me, but I'm trying not to cry. Oh, I've had a million different offers on the phone, but I just stay right here at home. I don't think that I can take it anymore, this crazy war. Now when I look at the clouds across the moon, here in the night, I just hope and pray that soon, oh darling, you'll hurry home to me.
I'm sorry to interrupt your conversation, but we are experiencing violent storm conditions in the asteroid belt at this time. We may lose this valuable deep space communication link. Please be as brief as possible. Thank you.
Oh, since you went away, there's nothing going right. I just can't sleep alone at night. I'm not ashamed to say I badly need a friend, or it's Hello? Hello, operator? Yes, I seem to have lost the connection. Could you try again, please?
I'm sorry, but I'm afraid we have lost contact with Mars 247 at this time.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I'll try again next year. Oh, baby. Next year. Hurry home to me. Next year. Now, when I look at the clouds across the moon, here in the night, I just hope and pray that soon.
Intergalactic operator. This is the intergalactic operator.
You'll hurry home to me.
This is the intergalactic
When I look at the clouds across the moon, here in the night, I just hope and pray that soon, oh darling, you'll hurry home to me. Now, when I look at the clouds across the moon.
The Goods from the Woods was mixed, edited, and distributed by me, Rivers Langley. You can find the show on Twitter at The Goods Pod. Our theme song was composed by DJ Smiles. Check him out on Twitter at DJ Smiles.